Hey, what's up guys, John here. Two massive tornadoes just ripped through the state of Florida. One in Panama Beach, one in Fort Lauderdale.
Early this morning, severe weather began impacting northwest Florida. It's currently moving across the state.
Dangerous winter storm made its way east, bringing threats of tornadoes, blizzards, and floods.
But I'm going to show you the live drone footage and the live footage of both, showing you just how bad this situation is. There might be $1 billion worth of damage to homes, cars, yachts, industrial properties, office buildings and so forth. But the real damage is going to be to the 10 million property owners inside of the state, because now they are working on a socialist, this is not my word, this is NewsWeek's word, a socialist program, which is where the state has one major government-backed insurance provider that provides essentially all the coverage for the state. Now, some people might say, hey, this is a really good thing. We need stability. Insurance rates have skyrocketed in Florida last couple of years. That's what we need.
More and more homeowners are abandoning home insurance because of skyrocketing costs.
We already pay at least 3 times the national average in premiums to insure our homes.
The problem then becomes is when there's no competitors, there's a monopoly. The person in charge of that monopoly is in charge of the entire state. Many people don't realize when you buy a home with a mortgage, that mortgage lender demands you have an insurance policy on that property that's going to protect their investment. And so if something happens, maybe one major disaster where that entire company goes under, what would then happen? Well, it would be an all-cash type of state, because you wouldn't be able to buy in that state. You wouldn't be able to get funding and financing because, mortgage lender's not going to lend on a property they can't get insurance on. And B is, if the insurance rates continue to skyrocket, people aren't going to be able to refinance their homes. They're not going to be able to sell their properties. There won't be buyers at these price points. A lot of people will be underwater, so to speak. Now I'm going to show you what's happening. I'm going to show you where Florida could potentially go. It's a real disaster here. Show you the live footage as well. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share this content to educate other people about what's going on. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. I believe we're walking into the greatest transfer of assets, the greatest wealth transfer we'll ever see in this country. It ramped up in 2020. Kind of inflated everything, very, very low interest rates, and now we're seeing the money getting pulled out, job market starting to fall apart, and what I think is going to happen next is people are going to be forced to sell, and that's when I think a lot of people are going to start making a lot of money. People that are prepared, of course, people with cash, credit, people that have a plan. Now look at this. Look at this video. This video also, it came out an hour ago, right? It came out about an hour and a half ago. 614,000 views. Now this is 614,000, and then 2-3 minutes went by, 736,000 now. So another 120,000 views. Look at this. Look at this footage. All of these homes, all of these properties, complete teardowns now. Complete teardowns. You have to ask yourself, if you were to have that home and you had to tear it down because of this disaster and you had to rebuild it, what's the new insurance rate on that property, right? All of these properties, all of them. Look at that building. Imagine building that today with today's labor cost, today's material cost, everything, all of this loss, and it just continues. Like, you're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars at a minimum, more, on just the footage we've seen so far. And it just keeps going. So you look at this, and you're like, all right, well, and that goes on and on. And I'm going to pause that and look. So here's what's happened. 924,000 likes. Just likes alone, almost 1 million. So the views are probably somewhere in like that 8 to 12 million range. Like, it's substantial. This tornado starts to pick up here, and you can pay attention to the inlet, right? Because the power goes out, then it goes back on. Then this causes multiple fires. The first one's a small one. I'm not counting that as a fire, right? You'll start to see right as it starts to pick up over here, the first little one, which is going to be probably right around here. Yep, that first little one there. And then a bigger one is going to be coming up in a second. That one. And then it flips over a yacht once it hits the ocean. See, you saw the power go on and off there? Then right when it hits, it looks like it's kind of fading out. You're like, all right, maybe that wasn't so bad. But then it ramps up right as it starts to pass this building here. Right as it passes this building here, you can see it really start to pick up a lot of speed when it hits that inlet. And then, right around here, you can see it start to pick up some power here. And then it flips over one of these little yachts over there, one of these little boats. It might actually be a yacht. I think the qualification for yacht is like after 40 feet. So yeah, that one right there, going. So, and then it continues for like another minute, right? It just rips through, passes the bridge, and it continues on. But so you get the idea. But let's look at what is happening now. Glenn Kelman, CEO of Redfin, came out September 3rd, 2021, and he said, talking about the entire Florida real estate market, if you look at where people are moving, it's to Florida. Then he goes on to say, I think this idea that climate is going to be factored into how people think about housing hasn't happened yet. The only people that have figured it out are the actuaries, aka the lenders, the insurance companies, people have to calculate the cost of insuring these properties. Increasingly, it's going to get harder to get insurance. It's going to get harder to get a loan for these properties because the lenders are going to see the writing on the wall that it's collateral risk, right? This is where we're at now. We're walking into this right now. I think Florida and Las Vegas, these are like very boom bust states. When things are good, things are really good. When things are bad, they're really bad. I think that the big problem for Florida going forward is going to be getting insurance, being able to actually sell a property and buy a property with affordable coverage. And this situation with Citizens is a black swan event waiting to happen. So context, Florida has 10,054,457 residential properties, right? 1.7 million, so 17% give or take, sit completely vacant. Snowbirds, retirees having second homes, things of that nature. Then you have 2.2 million of them paid off. So of these 2.2 million, I would bet a large chunk of them are self-insured, meaning that if something happens to the property, they come out of pocket, they deal with it themselves. They don't have to pay for these increased insurance rates, right? So pretty substantial pool. So the people that are really hit are going to be, that 80%, the 80, 85% that likely has insurance in that state. Now, I believe if insurance rates skyrocket, you're going to see a large chunk of these 1.7 million looking at exiting the state or selling their primary home to move to Florida full time because it's going to be really hard to hold on to both properties. But look at this. NewsWeek. Florida considers socialist model to combat soaring insurance costs. Now, many people move to Florida because they don't like socialism, right? They want to move to Florida to be able to run their business, to be able to have lower, lower taxes, to have a lower, restrictive type of influence on one's life, being able to go out here and just kind of enjoy their lives and have a really, really good quality of living. And now it's starting to change. It's kind of feeling like something like, probably from a state in which they left. Now look at this. Florida lawmakers looking to tackle insurance in the state that are considering to allow state-backed Citizens property insurance to cover more homes following the exodus of some 15 major insurers in the past couple of years. The cost of homeowners insurance have ballooned in Sunshine State in recent years, where they're paying $6,000. Like, think about the $500 a month for insurance. That is crazy. The highest premium in the entire country, according to data from the Insurance Institute. Insurance costs have grown by 102% in the past 36 months. 102%. Like, that is nuts. Then they go and say the increased risk of damage proposed by more frequent, more extreme weather events, the growing Florida population and the number of claims in the state have led several insurance companies to leave the state, exasperating on an already bad situation. Calls have grown in recent months on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the state legislature to do something to tackle the ongoing crisis. The previous occasion, DeSantis' spokesperson told Newsweek that the Republican had acted to alleviate costs for Florida homeowners, but these measures will take some time to get results, right? Because I don't think many people are anticipating some results from DeSantis on insurance. If you look at how much money and how much funding he's gotten from these insurance conglomerates, millions and millions of dollars have went to the pockets of DeSantis. Maybe not him directly, but his campaign and everything that he's doing. And you have to ask yourself, why would they give all that money to then later reduce their rates? Just a thought. We'll see. I don't think DeSantis is going to be able to save the day on insurance, unfortunately. I wish that weren't the case, but let's look at what they're looking at here. So Citizens Insurance, they say that Florida's insurers, last resort, is on path to hit 1.7 million policies this year, right? 1.7 million policies. Now they go on. This came out 90 days ago, September 26, 2023. Citizens dropped some policies as private insurers step up. Now, what's shocking is that they say in this article that it says regulators want to reduce citizens' burden because if a major hurricane hits, the company might be forced to levy surcharges or assessments, potentially even on private policyholders if they can't pay its claims, essentially if they go bankrupt due to one major storm. So just 90 days ago, the plan was that they were going to take off some risk. They were going to push some risk off the table. What does that mean? That means that what they were doing is they were saying, hey, look, I will, if I'm Citizens, I will give this policy to this insurance provider so long as it's not, above 20% more than what they are paying currently with Citizens. And so they were pushing off so many policies to their competitors. My estimated renewal premium is now $3,700, a $541 annual increase from what Citizens quoted me. So what they were trying to do, another round of this, notice is scheduled for next month, right? So when you start to look at this, they're completely changing what they were doing. They pushed off a lot of policies. Now they're saying, we're just going to take over the market. We're just going to start to do all these new, protections here to help people in the state. But the more you look into this, the more you realize that something doesn't sound right. In fact, something sounds very sketchy. Florida lawmakers promised to tackle the crisis at the legislative session in Tallahassee, which is scheduled to start on Tuesday, with some measures that would traditionally be considered that of a socialist welfare state. This is NewsWeek calling Florida a socialist welfare state. People don't realize, many people don't realize, you probably do, but many people don't, that insurance controls everything. It controls property values, it controls car values, it controls everything. Because if somebody's buying a home thinking insurance is going to be $100 a month, $500 a month, whatever it may be, and then a couple years later, insurance is 2 or 3 times that, what does that do to that person that bought that property? They can most likely no longer afford to stay in the home. But more importantly, what do lenders think? When they're issuing a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, they ask themselves the question, how long can they afford to stay in that home? The answer, probably not 30 years, right? As rates continue to rise. I believe Florida is going to be a very, very, very boom-bust type of state going forward, far greater than what we saw in 2007, 2008. Among these proposed solutions, filed in a previous legislation, is introducing direct subsidies to struggling policyholders, lowering reinsurance costs, and crucially allowing for nonprofit Citizens property insurance to cover more homes. The measure would help those homeowners left without coverage by the part of the private insurers, though the company is generally considered but at an insurer of last resort. Citizens property insurance only steps in after the homeowner is refused coverage by a private insurance company currently insures about 1.3 million policyholders in Florida. While many of these proposals, most of them introduced by Democrats, have not been previously allowed to pass Republican lawmakers, the idea is to expand the Citizens property insurance coverage with sponsor representatives Jim Mooney and Senator Ana Maria Rodriguez, 2 Republicans. What do you think about this situation? You think we're walking into a really big shift in the state of Florida? Drop below. Let's have a conversation. I think something big could be brewing here, and I think something massive could be coming to the housing market. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share the content. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you. We'd love to help fix your credit. If you have any late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in your credit report, you want to get everything buttoned up in advance, because when people are forced to sell, you're going to want to be able to go out there and make moves. And if you have good credit, it makes it a lot easier to do just that. So if you have any issues on your credit report, click the link in the description as well as video, schedule a free strategy session, and I'll catch you in the next one.